And we're also on Facebook Live. So Facebook Live, even though you can't talk, we'll still have your name down for the raffle. So don't sweat it on that. All right, it's almost 8, almost 10 o'clock. We'd like to start at 10 and I'm straight up. All right, good morning, everybody. Thank you for coming. Thank you all for coming on. We're gonna talk about what it is like to live a life of an 800 FICO score. People that are doing it and people like you and I, and actually I've kind of stepped into that shoe now too. But we want to talk about what they do to make it happen. All right. I do have some people I'm going to be talking to as they come on, people that I know that maintain this 800 FICO score for years, just to talk about what they do and stuff like that. All right, we're going to get started because we have a lot of sharing, to share with you all today. Okay. All right, my name is Gary Nix, broker associate with Keller Williams. I've been doing this for almost 20 years. And if you know me a little bit, you'll know that I'm very passionate about seeing people get wealthy. I happen to believe real estate is one really good area where people can do that. Either you're buying your first house, second house, your investment home. It's just how we can build wealth from individuals to families. I'm Compass certified, meaning really well trained. I'm part of the 72 sold program, which help homeowners to get 8 to 12% more on their properties when it's been sold. All right, enough about that. Guest speaker today is Melissa. Is Melissa on yet? No. We'll get her on. She does, of course, the reason why I brought her in is this somebody that does disputing and helping people to build their credit. Because we're gonna talk about what it takes to be at the top, and then we're gonna talk about how, wherever you are, your 500 score. I've had people with 450 score. And I always love that. I love taking people from nowhere to somewhere. One of my really great, when you look back at things that we've done, one of my clients, when I first met her, her FICO score was in the 500s. And I'm probably gonna have a special interview with her. And she was a Section 8 lady. And I looked at her and like, okay, you have this income. Yeah, they're not, you don't need to pay taxes on them, but they are good income. Let's use that. And so, well, we first got to start with your credit. And she listened to everything with guide her to do. The next thing, she went from 560 to like 670. Boom, got her first house. And then the husband got a house. And 3 years later, she bought a second house. And that's really immense. And now she's got, in the high sevens FICO score, because they got it, what needs to be done. And I remember the husband had a lot of collections, but just no credit. And we talk about what needs to be done. And there were not that much. It just looked like it's a lot. So those are some of my joy. So we'll see when Melissa comes on, we'll bring her back on. Okay. So we're gonna get started. And we first have to hit the mind, because our mind is where great things happen. And unfortunately, our mind is where we don't let things happen. We hamper ourselves based on our thinking. And the first part I want to cover is the myth understanding about credit. The 3 myths that we have, that most people have, that limits them to having to build up their credit. And number 1 is, I don't need credit. That's just a wrong illusion that we've been given, that you don't need to have credit. truth is you can't do without credit. You can attain things in life without credit. You want to travel, you need a credit card. Who wants to use an ATM? Here's the thing. The real clue, because I've seen people that's like, oh, everything I want, I'm going to charge. Well, be smarter. Instead of charging it on your ATM, charge it on your credit, but use your credit like an ATM. That's the major difference that we don't see. If you use your credit like an ATM, guess what? You will be 800 FICO score. It's really that simple. Let's uncover some other myths. Okay. I don't want debt and be in debt to the man. Again, you don't want credit because you assume credit is debt, and it's not so. The truth is, you want good debt, and you cannot have quality life without it. You want to take a vacation, you can have points from Marriott, from Hilton, on the credit card. Flight, you want to fly Southwest, Delta, Alaska Airline, even Hawaiian Airline. You literally, I know somebody that's got an Hawaiian Airline credit card and travels to Hawaii every year for free because she used a Hawaiian credit card like an ATM, and she's in Hawaii for 2 weeks for free. Something that some of us would take a lifetime to make that trip. It's because she used the credit like an ATM, so she charged all the points, because we all spend money anyway. We spend money. If we just spend it and know how wise we can do it, it will give us a quality life. Okay. Myth number 3. I don't want to be too straight. I want an edgy life. Okay, so that's assume that if you have good credit, all you do is put on a suit, you put on a dress, and you're straight, you don't do nothing. No, the truth is, you're being straight or edgy does not debar you from having good credit. It just shows you have wisdom. Having a good credit is having good wisdom. And again, it gives you opportunity to do a lot of things. Any comments on this? Okay. All right.
I'd like to ask a question.
Yes, please.
When you say being straight or edgy, what is edgy? I'm not understanding. Like what? What does that mean?
Well, that's somebody. Okay, let me just kind of break it down. If you have a hood lifestyle, meaning you go anywhere, you do whatever you want, that kind of stuff. That's what that is. A more of a careless lifestyle. And some people assume when you have good credit, you can't do that. It debars you from that, and that's saying it's got nothing to do with anything. You just having good credit just means you have wisdom on how you can, go about your life.
Got it. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Now, let's imagine a world of endless possibilities. What does that endless possibility look like? It means you get the best of a cake. Any cake that's given, you get the best of it. And that's a metaphor for life, by the way. You'll reserve the best sitting, in any place you go to, because if you think about Staples Center or Crypto.com, the people that sits on the lower level, they've got good credit, right? They pay for it, and how do they pay for it? You suffer less than anyone. What does that mean? It means that we all have to get, we have to get a car. We have to get a credit, whatever it is that we're spending on, right? If you have good credit, you're going to get that spending in a better way. For example, if you first get your credit card, your percentage maybe 24% APR, right? But if you go in with 800 FICO score, guess what they're going to give you? A 14% APR, or 7% APR. And if you exercise that more, you'll see them offer you 0%. Go charge anything you want for the next year or year and a half with 0%, because you have that great credit to start with. All right. Your payment is always less than anybody else. And we're going to talk a little bit about that, the difference, slight difference that you see in two different people. You get considered for anything you want. If you live the life of a prince or princess, right? Nothing comes easy, but everything a result of your choices. So let's kind of bring that home, how you have these endless possibilities, right? Now let's take a look at these two brothers, right? They both make the same amount of money, right? But the difference is one doesn't have good credit. And sometimes it's not because, it's just because of lack of knowledge that that person doesn't have good credit. But the person that's conscious of it knows it's got good credit and knows how to use the credit wise. So let's take a look at their lifestyle and the little differences that can happen to you when you have that great credit. Now, brother one has a 580 FICO score, right? When I bought a car, $50,000 car, put $10,000 down, it makes the money. It has the money. The job is good. Well, because of special financing, his payment on the car is $822 a month. You can say, well, that's not bad. You know, I do that. You know, everybody does that. Okay. Well, let's take a look at the second brother. Okay. Now, buying the same car, putting the same amount of money down, because they both make the same money. The difference is his payment is $616. Now, again, it's simple things, but $200 extra every month. What can we do with that? It means we can take our family to a restaurant, right? Or take a date to a restaurant if you're not married. It means you can go to the movies, maybe go to 4 movies in a month. That just gives you a little better quality of life. It's the simple things, but it gives you that a little better quality of life. Now let's take a look in a mortgage situation. Again, they're buying a $650,000 home. And they're putting 10% down, right? One brother, it has to do FHA, because if you don't have a good FICO score, you can't go conventional. The payment is $39.98 a month. And that's going to be for 30 years. That's 360 months, okay? Again, you can say, well, that's not a big deal. You know, anybody can do that and can rent a place for that, sure. Well, let's look at the other brother, putting the same amount of money down, but the payment is $34.59 a month. That's $500 every month. Now let's imagine, what can we do with saving $500 every month? That means 3 months of savings, you can probably go on a vacation. So this is the reason why you see you may be in a workplace with somebody else that make the same amount of money, and you see them do things that you cannot do because of this little savings. That's why we talk about wisdom in having a great credit, you know. And now the good thing is, wherever you are, it doesn't take that much to get to where you can be. So I want to make sure we understand that. Don't put yourself down and say, oh my God, I have a 620 FICO score. How am I going to get here? No, it just takes concentration. I've worked with people within 2 months, life has changed. Sometimes it takes longer. It could take 6 months, but it's been that fast. And I think the fastest I've make a difference in somebody's life is within 30 days. So it can be like that. It's just making good decisions. and understanding how you need to go about these things. Can't wait for Melissa to show up. Hopefully she shows up. All right, so let us talk about the credit. How do they work? So there are three credit reporting agency: Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion. And they all have different guidelines. Sometimes you'll see your credit shows up on all the three. Sometimes it show up on all two, on two of them. Sometimes it show up on one, because they all have their guidelines on what they report out of your credit, okay? And what is a trade line? A trade line is a record of activity for any type of credit extended to a borrower. And report to credit, basically a trade line is any credit that you have. That's your trade line, okay? Ed, are you on? Okay, I can't see anybody.
He's here.
Yes, sir.
Okay, good.
Good morning, Gary.
Good morning. All right, I'm not seeing you coming on. Isn't it Zoom? Usually the person that's talking comes on, right? Okay. All right, I'm gonna just do a little few things and then I'm gonna have a quick talk with you, okay?
Sure.
Okay. So the power is in our hands of what we can do. But I want to bring Mr. Walker on the line. Great. Now I got you. Awesome. And just talk about what he has done, and then we'll come back to the presentation. So let me stop the share. Awesome. All right. Good morning
again, Gary.
All right. How are you, man?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me on and allowing me to share some of my experiences with credit. And yeah, just
Okay.
looking for this opportunity to share.
Okay, so let's start from the beginning, because there is always that moment in our life when we realize, okay, I gotta do this thing. I gotta be conscious of this thing. Tell me when that moment was for you.
I'm sorry, I'm getting my wife closed my audio off.
Okay, all right. So I was asking that there's always a moment in life, right, when we realize I've got to make a change in my credit. Can you tell us how far back that was? What was that moment for you? Like, okay, I realized this thing. I need to change how I do this.
Oh gosh, Gary. It happened for me early 90s. I was in my mid-20s when I really got an awakening on the importance of having credit, having good credit, and sustaining credit. I was fortunate to get an American Express card in 1990.
Mm-hmm.
And for those who are familiar with that, or how it was back in those days, where you have to pay off your entire balance every single month.
Mm-hmm.
So by me getting that early in my credit history, establishing my credit history, forced me to learn to pay off my credit cards and my bills on time each and every month.
Okay.
So that was kind of the catalyst in putting together good habits, forcing me to pay off my things timely and build my credit going forward based on just staying current with my American Express card.
Okay, so that's really great. So I'm hoping everybody gets this, because yeah, in today's world, every credit card is relaxed about that. So in your ongoing, you realize, hey, I gotta make this payment. I charge it, I gotta pay. I'll charge it, I gotta pay, and that became a lifestyle for you, right?
Absolutely. And
awesome. Now, when did you get to the peak of 800 FICO score? I'm curious about that. Is it right then, or it took a while before you got?
Oh gosh, no. It was a process, and I think people need to understand that establishing an 800 credit score is going to take time. It's going to take consistency. But the baseline to establishing that is you have to establish good habits, you know, in paying off your credit. I like to use the term delayed gratification. We have to change our mindset to do things over time, plan for things, and not get caught up in the idea of consuming or having it now.
Okay.
So if we can establish those things early on, continue to pay your bills regularly, you know, you will achieve that. But I think it'll take, you know, it took me about, I don't know, five years or so in just building my credit consistently, making a payment. If I can back up a bit, that kind of started me to establish my credit history to buy my first home. I was fortunate to buy my first property at 24.
Nice.
So yes, it was just a thing of building my credit, putting together my funds, active savings, and able to start to grow my credit profile by one, getting this American Express card, getting another card, and purchasing a property.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you for sharing. So another thing I wanted to check in, because a lot of people here, they think they can only pay that one time a month on their credit. Let's say, you know, life happens sometimes, right? You need, all of a sudden, you have these expenses that you didn't plan. You got to charge $3,000 or $5,000. How do you propose to pay that back? Do you have to pay one time, or do you, as money comes to you every week, every other week? Can you tell us what you do as a lifestyle?
Well, as a lifestyle, I try to prevent that. For one, credit is my last option. What I've done was, in my savings habits, was to create an emergency fund to take care of those things. I know everybody's not able to do so. I take that back. Everybody can do so. It's just having a discipline to set aside monies to deal with those matters. Okay. Credit should be used as an option for you. It's not something that should be considered an emergency fund, because it further puts you into debt. So having a saving strategy, having the credit as an option to move things around or give you a choice in how you plan to deal with your emergency or deal with this project or saving things, whatever you're saving for, have that as an option, not just as this is what I have, this is what I need to do to use this card to get me out of a situation.
Awesome.
I think.
All right. Hold on to that thought. We're gonna come back to some more questions. Let me do some slide presentation. And Melissa, please let me know when you're on, because I want you to do your stuff too. All right, so if you all just find out, we're talking to Ed about the power is in our hands. What we do when we have charges is all in our hand. We have total control of it. So, and one of the key things that we mistake about is communication. You know, if we communicate to our lender, I really don't know of any lender, any lending institution that's out to make things difficult for us. I think a lot of times we make things difficult for us in our mind. Okay, so answer every calls, you know, from your creditors. I don't know where people get this thing from, like, oh, I don't want to answer the phone because the creditors are calling. No, answer the phone, because there are some credit that actually get into your credit because of your ignorance. Now, because I deal with people on a life-to-life basis, I see these where, we run their credit, they didn't know this collection was reported. They went to, especially medical collections, people went to the doctor, your insurance didn't cover whatever they didn't cover. they ask you to pay your deductible. You're like, well, no, I have this insurance, I pay for it. And they will send you the paperwork. They will send you threatening things, but you refuse because, I tell people, fight the right kind of fight. Rather than ignoring them, talk to them. If you got to dispute something with them, dispute it with them, but don't let it ever get to the point where they report you. Because I know some people that's like, they feel so justified like that. No, that collection is not, it should not be mine. I went to a doctor. I was in Ohio, and so I have an HMO, but I had to go visit a doctor there. Well, that doctor there is not covered by your HMO, so they charge you. And if you can, maybe you come back home and then you relate it to your own medical thing, but they didn't cover all of it, and there's some left, but you feel like, oh, I'm paying for my medical expenses, so I'm not going to do that. No, don't do that. Take care of it. If you can get, everything is a conversation. It's really what I'm trying to say here. Because all of this kind of stuff happen all the time, where it's life, you have no control over it. But if you talk it out, what you don't want to do is refuse to have that conversation. So you just got to communicate every situation always, either you feel justified or not, but don't let it come to where and if they send you a threat like, okay, we're going to go to a collection, guess what? Handle it. Find a way to handle it. And it doesn't ever, because a new collection reported on your credit can dump you 100 points easily. I've seen people on a $25 co-payment collection, and it dropped them 100 points because he just reported. And again, it's the justification part that people struggle with. Okay, so respect. Respond to every threat of collection you receive. You got to respond to a past due thing. Send it. Even when what happens. And by the way, this happened to me too. I remember I went to Target, bought some stuff. And about a month later, I paid the whole thing off. Now, sometimes you pay it off, but they've already charged you that monthly interest, right? So the next month, I receive a mail from Target. I'm like, oh, I know I already paid that off. I haven't charged anything, so I don't need to look at it. Well, guess what? That $12 interest that I didn't pay became a collection. So 30 days later, I see that you missed the payment. I'm like, what payments? I called them up. What the hell? What payment? I paid the whole $250 that I owe you guys. Well, there was a $12 interest that accrued the next month. So now, because you didn't pay that, now they tag on another $35 late fee on it. And I begged and begged and begged. Target was tough. They didn't take that thing off. They didn't take that thing off. But this is what happens to people, that you think, okay, I paid it, but you forgot that this interest that's charged, and you gotta have it taken care of. So please, let's be any mail, just check them out. If you check them out, you'd have resolved it right away.
Gary, can I add something there?
Sure, please.
Monitor your credit is something I just like to add. I know a lot of banks offer free credit monitoring. I know with Chase, I'm with Chase now, and they offer credit monitoring for free. And they'll send me an update when I open my account as to my credit score. And I know a lot of places do it once or twice a year for free, but it's important that you monitor that to maintain your standing. And as you mentioned, it can affect your score for just little minute things that you could have overlooked or was charged incorrectly. So be mindful of your credit and the monitoring of it.
Awesome. All right, so let's take a look at, as you can see, we'll talk about a small little collection can ding you 100 points. Imagine having a 780 FICO score, all of a sudden, boom, you're 680 because of a little collection. But let's take a look at how they mark the credit. You know, what takes you from poor to fair, fair to good, and what gets you into excellent mode. And again, these are just habits that we learn that makes a difference. So number one thing is where a lot of credit get dropped is full charges on your available credit. So no matter what your available credit is, if it's $600, if it's $1,000, if it's $2,500, if it's $10,000, you never charge to the full on it. Now, some of us have very good habits. Others of us just need to be aware that you just don't charge. If you got to charge full, know that you're about to charge full. If you have a $2,000 credit limit and life happens, and you know, and that's why one of the valuable thing about credit, it can absolve you of issues of life, right? So you have a $2,000 credit limit and life happens and you need to spend money. You know, your son or daughter is sick and you got to pay $2,000 for whatever you need to take care of, right? Rather than go do that $2,000 and charge your credit to the full, especially if you've maintained good credit, all it takes is a phone call. Call your creditor and say, hey, I need a credit limit increase. Can you take me to $5,000 from $2,000? Most of the time, they will say, yes, ma'am, yes, sir, done. And it's done. So now when you spend that $2,000 you need to spend, it's not at 100% of your credit limit. It's at 50% of your credit limit. So you're still good. You may have a ding of 20 points, but it won't be a ding of 60 points. So it's very good to be cognizant of that. Never charge to the full limit you have. Keep your revolving account under 30% if you can. And if you have to go over 30%, quickly pay down under 30%. Now, I'm going to tell you, you just heard from someone that maintained an 800 FICO score. They pay it off every time, right? They use their credit card like an ATM. They charge, they pay. They charge, they pay, right? But some of you, maybe you don't want to get to 800. Maybe you want to get to 750, 780. If you can maintain that 30% balance, you'll be really good. So again, you may have to go on a shopping spree one time. You do it, quickly pay it back down. Don't just let it resolve there where interest is now, you're paying monthly payment of just interest and it's not going down at all. Okay. The one thing you don't want to ever do is have a late payment. That's big. That can be a 50 points drop on your credit. You don't want to have a late payment. That one credit card will target, even though I paid it off, the reason why I knew it is my score all of a sudden it dropped almost 80 points. And I've maintained over 700 at that time. I mean, it's still, when I dropped 80 points, I'm still about 700, but it still dropped me significantly because of a $12 late, right? And I called in, and my God, no matter who I talked to, I cried to them, they would not change that thing. But after a year, it went away, thank God. So it's good to be aware of that. Sometimes life happens, you cannot control, life situation, but always communicate with your lender prior to charges that you need to incur. Okay, so let's talk about how we can establish credits. Okay, this is for people, I understand in this medium, we have people that don't have anything, or I've had people come to me that they make good money, but their credit is like zero. There's no trade line. So first thing is you want to get a secure credit card and make a payment. If you have no credit, and I've had this happen a lot where somebody come in, there's nothing at all. So I say, okay, go to B of A or Wells Fargo, get a $500 credit card. And then when you get the card, go buy gas with it, and then pay down to like $10. And boom, they go to 660 FICO score like that. With just one trade line. And then, as you're charging it more and more and keeping your balances low, or paying it, off, the next thing you know, you're 700 FICO score. It's really that simple. Another way is to be an authorized user on somebody else's credit card. Make sure they have a good credit and they have low balances, right? Your mom, your dad, your aunt, your sister, whatever, even your cousin, a really good friend, you can be a user on their card because they use their card well. And what you do is you get the benefit of the history of that card once they put you on. I had a young lady, probably like 19 years old, and told me that she wants to go get a place, because she wants to move out from the parents' house. And I'm like, okay, do you have any credit? She said, no. Do you have a job? Yes, I have a part-time job. Okay. All right. Let's go get you a secure card. And then I talked to the mom, and the mom added that to one of her cards. Boom, 30 days later, she sent me a text, because I told her I log into Credit Karma. She was 768. I'm like, wow, that's awesome. So it can be that quick. You don't get to 800 like that, but you can get into the I7s like that, right? But it takes history of time for you to get to the 800. And then if you have a bad credit, I want to make sure people understand that we are not putting anybody down. If you had a bad credit, there are just some few things you got to do to get it better, okay? And one of that is be willing to settle your collections. Don't get caught up with the right or wrong about it, but just take care of business. And most creditors, especially if it's a charge-off collection that they've tried to collect for you for years and you didn't respond, you can settle for 40 cents on a dollar, right? Call them up and say, okay, if I settle this, and some of them will even be good enough to say, if you settle, we'll completely take it off of your credit, and ask for the letter that's going to take it off. And usually when they're telling you they're going to take it off, they will take it off, right? Decide at that point to never be late again, because those are the key things that get your credit to bad spot. If you go for 12 months and you're not late, guess what? Your credit will go back up, right? If you're late, like I was late on the Target card, after 12 months, it went. Matter of fact, the Target card is still in my report today, but now I've got into 800. So I'm like, okay, interesting. It's not altogether. It doesn't cut you off from the wall, but it is what it is, right? Just decide to never be late. Keep your balances under 30% as much as you can. Whatever your credit limit is, make sure you keep your balances under 30% of that. And always communicate and answer your lender calls. That's just a lifestyle. If you pay attention to that, if you have a mortgage, they call you up like, okay, I'm going to make the payment, boom, boom. I'm just a little late. And if you know you're going to be late, I guarantee you most lenders would not report you. Even Target would not have reported me if I had called them and say, you know what, I saw this balance on my account. I don't have it today, but I can pay it next week. They will not report you. I guarantee you. Synchrony Bank, that's probably one of the worst banks to negotiate with. They don't play. Any account, and a lot of accounts are with Synchrony Bank. If you go to Target, Cost Plus, Marshalls, all of those are all tied up. Even Home Depot, Lowe's, they're all with Synchrony Bank. Best Buy, a lot of them are with Synchrony Bank, and they don't play. If you have an account with them, please do not be late with them, because they will not take it off or whatever, no matter what dispute you put in. So just be aware of stuff like that and make sure you handle it. Getting from good to great. Now, some of us, you've been maintaining the 640 to 680, and you're wondering, how can I get to the 700? It's usually these few things that makes you stay in that 600, mid 600 range. your balances. Get them now. You want to start focusing on bringing your balance to 10% or paying it off, but still using the card from time to time. Okay. Keep your credit going for a long time. That's where longevity comes to play. People like Ed that have 800 FICO score, they have longevity of credit. Okay, and just make them active from time to time. I don't know. I have one card with what's that furniture place? And every now and then, even if I don't need the furniture, I'll go buy furniture for somebody else. I bought furniture for my friends, a daughter, his daughter, I bought the whole furniture for a bedroom at one time. Just to give me something on that card, because I've had that card for like 25 years or something like that. So just to keep it active every now and then. So once you do this, it will take you from the 680, now you're in the above 700 FICO score. Okay. And again, just the habits we want you guys to be aware of, change your bad habits to form new ones. You deserve a great life, so choose the wise part. Change your thinking, change your world. All right, so let me see. Do I still have a little more slide? Because the time, I want to talk a little bit. Okay, before we talk about this programming, let me, Melissa, are you on?
She's
No?
not, Gary.
She's not. Okay, all right. That's interesting. All right, Ed, let's get you back in. Let's talk about the mindset that you have in maintaining this lifestyle. Just share with everybody, how long have you had an 800 FICO score?
Oh gosh, it's been over 10 years or so now.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
And
Okay.
I just think my mindset has a big deal to do with me maintaining that 800 credit score. I plan most of my major purchases, and I have even my smaller purchases now, it comes with some planning, which allows me to maintain my credit, my 800 score. So planning has a big deal in the choices I make. I don't get consumed with buying right now. I'm comfortable with delayed gratification. I plan everything pretty much for trips, cars, projects around the house, properties. It always comes with some thought. So that helps in staying in line and keeping my credit at a high level.
Okay. Now, let me ask you a question. Have you bought a car in the last 10 years? Like you bought a brand new car, and did it affect your credit, going down, or it kept you where you are?
That's funny you mentioned that, Gary. I haven't bought a new car or financed a new car. I have bought cars, but they come in planning, and I pretty much pay cash for my cars. And so, but I do that with my investment philosophy, and I know that goes into something else, but I'm into investing in the stock market. So I would dedicate, and I'll give you this example. I plan to buy another car in December. I have been saving for this car through stock purchases for instance, Tesla. And I found opportunities to buy at a low price. And as it grows, I said, this is going to be my funds to purchase my next vehicle.
Nice.
So those are the kind of things I do now. I try to avoid financing at all costs. And not to say that everybody can do that, and I will do that at some time, but it's great to have that option. And I attribute that to planning, saving, and just making good choices in the things that I purchase and invest in.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for sharing. That's one of the things with, what happened to my stuff? Okay, All right, 1 second. Where's my share? Oh boy. Okay. All right. How do I get back to sharing the screen? Just give me a second. Okay, there you go. Okay. I want to, the next slide I have, okay, is this is really the key. You just heard from talking to Ed how he plans for things. This is the key part of this presentation. See, everything we do in life is based on what we know, what we've seen our parents, our close relatives do. Sometimes even our friends influence us, right? Everything we do in life is a result of that. And because of what we know, what we think, what we do, that's how our mind resolves to stuff, and we take action on stuff, and we get the result that we've always gotten. Today, what I want to beg you guys is to see that flash bulb come into our mind and receive new information. So when you receive new information and you think it through, right, and you start feeling that, like, okay, I feel I can do this, I can change my lifestyle, I can change my habits, all of a sudden you start taking that action because you feel this thing connects to your inner mind, and you start taking the action. Now you start paying down your credit. You start making a habit of not being impulsive to buy, right? And you start getting the results, and your scores start going up. And now your mind is reprogrammed. That's why I put this slide in there for us to consider to reprogram our mind, because every one of us can do this. In my life personally, I have gone, I think in my younger days, I was actually very, very good. I don't really know about FICO Score in those days. I bought my first house, not at 24, but I think I was about 27 when I bought my first house. But then I lost that house, right? So I remember when I bought the first house, my credit was great. I don't know what great was then. I'm assuming it was in the 700, plus. But then life happens, and I lost that house. And I think I bought another investment house. I lost that one too. And I reprogrammed myself and like, okay, we're gonna start taking very different action now. And as I was taking that different action, we got into, I bought another house. And, now, it's a few of them now. So it's just reprogramming that mindset. And honestly, I didn't get to 800 score until I started teaching this class and sharing this. And it develops me a new habits, and I'm really focused. And now I'm like 814, like, woo, yeah. And it's been like that for a minute, 806 to 814. It comes down a little bit sometimes. But it's just reprogramming of your mind and following the steps of people like Ed and doing it, okay? So in order for us to live the best life possible, just like a prince and princess, and there's some perks to this. You know what? We're going to talk about that. Let's talk about having this great credit. Tell us, have you gone on any vacation? Let me take the slide out, because now we're going to talk about living the best life possible. We've got about 10 more minutes before we do our raffle. What is that life possible for us? Ed, can you share with us, having that great credit, is there any vacation trip that you guys have gone that didn't cost you anything? Is there anything you've done with your credit to make that happen because you have that good credit? Ed, where are you? Okay, we lost him there. All right. Well, I can tell you this, right? Part of having a good credit helps with where you just live life where it doesn't cost you anything. You know, even my daughter has a Amex card, a Delta airline card. She flies like she's going to Atlanta today, she's going to Sacramento tomorrow, and it costs her nothing. She said, Dad, I'm just using my points. I'm like, whoa, that's like, matter of fact, I was jealous. I'm like, okay, I think I need to get a Delta airline card myself. But I have a Southwest card, and with Southwest card, yeah, 80% of my flight doesn't cost me anything. I have a Hilton Honor card. So most of the time, sometimes I'll charge you a toll, sometimes I will not. The real great one is we went to London one time. We had 2 rooms in London for 11 days, and it didn't cost me a dime. That's living good. That's really living good. You can do that. That's London, that hotel, I'm sure it's probably like 160 pounds a day for each room. So 160 pounds, you times that to dollars, it's a few dollars. And this is what having that great credit can give you if we use that. I mean, I see people travel first class on points, where it didn't cost them. So you see people, you go to the airport, you see people on a plane, you're thinking, oh my God, these people, you looked at when you were booking the flight, right? You see the first class ticket is like $5,000, right? But these people get into it for free because they know how to use the credit. So it really gives us the opportunity to live the best life possible. Ed, are you back on? Is there anything you can share with us that you have done with your credit so they can see it's not just about paying credits and stuff, it's about the lifestyle it can afford you?
Yes, you mentioned before, I've done that a couple of times where I paid for upgrades and first class travel through my credit card points. And I've gotten a habit. I mentioned American Express earlier. I try to pay as much as I can through my American Express for that particular purpose, to accumulate points, to use it however way I want to use it. And the beauty of them, you can use it to pay down your credit card, to pay off whatever thing that you used on the card prior to that, or you can save it for vacation and traveling, which is what I've done in the past. So that's a great way to go. Another beauty with having good credit is that you'll get offers from all different types of agencies offering you 0% financing for 12 to 16 months, which is a great, great opportunity. It's just like somebody giving you cash and say, just pay me back. Don't pay me, you don't have to pay me any interest as long as you pay me back by that due date. So I got one, for instance, this month through American Express, 12 months, 0% interest. So I can use that pretty much as cash, but I have developed a relationship with them that they know that I'm going to pay my card back in time and not have any issues with paying it back. So those are one of the beauties, or some of the beauties too, that comes with carrying good credit. A lot of options are available to you.
Yes, absolutely. So we're talking about living the best life possible. All right. I think we are at the end. Okay. We just want to quickly emphasize how to dispute your credit. This is where Melissa was supposed to come on, but she didn't show up. So I'm going to share with you guys how you can dispute your credit. So wherever you are, the simple steps you can take to dispute your credit. One, hire a professional if you can, somebody like a Melissa, because they're just more studious and they have it planned. The problem with most people trying to dispute your credit, they don't have it planned well, and therefore, you just go in circles and circles and circles, and you don't get anything done. And what do? They write letters in a 30 days turnaround. either a professional or yourself, you write letters in a 30-day turnaround and you dispute the credit that was reported for you. Now, this works for closed credit, not for active collections. Good luck on that one. But closed credits, maybe charge off, this is how you can take it off. In 30 days, if they don't respond back to you, you can ask the credit bureau to take it off, okay? Other part is settle collections. The ones that are still currently active, I recommend settling them. I've sat down with people and make calls on a $4,000 credit collection and settle for $1,500, or sometimes even $1,200. And you settle it, they will show paid, settled, whatever. If you can get them to remove it, it's super great. If you can't, if it's still paid and settled, it's still fine. It's not gonna, it ding you maybe 5 to 10 points. It's not gonna hit you that much. Other way, this is for ultimate, what I call, it's not too many people that does this, but I usually have somebody in my database that can do it. Seek a lawsuit to remove your credit, but this is for the big ones, for bankruptcies, short sales, foreclosures. Once it's closed, you can get a lawyer. This lawyer will put about 50 files, take it to federal court, and they'll take everything off, and it would never come back. This costs a little bit more. It could be anywhere from 35 to 4,500, depending, because you have to pay a lawyer fee. But this is for big stuff that you do. But you take it off, it never comes back, in your stuff. The key thing is, climbing the ladder of great credit, going from poor to average to good, very good, excellent credit. Again, if you generally pay on time and no late, you will have anywhere from 640 to 680 FICO score. Even if your credit are almost full, so long as you pay on time and you have no late, you're going to maintain this score. Now you want to go higher. You start focus on paying your balances down to under 10%. Still meaning you're paying on time, and sometimes if you have to pay twice a month, you just gotta know how you get paid and know how to settle it. You will maintain 740 to 780, even maybe 800 FICO score with maintaining a 10% balance on all of your credit lines. Okay. Now, if you want to get to where Ed is at, you got to pay like ATM. Charge it, paid. Charge it, paid. Always be active, always be paying. And if you're paying them down to zero, the reason why I started getting over that 800, and I saw it, I'm like, oh, I paid down one credit card to zero. They say, hey, thank you. We see you paid your card out. Congratulations. I charge it back again. But now I'm learning that, your previous balance, if you can settle that balance. So even if you got to have a charge, I just went on vacation and spent some money that I didn't want to spend on that vacation. But what I did is when I came back, I looked at my previous balance, I paid that to zero. And now I got this big one, I got to figure out how to pay it off. So whatever that is, if you can keep your previous balance down to zero and you get a new one and you focus on getting that down. And if you can get it down in a month, that's okay. You can get off in 2 months. But be planning. This is what gets you into my friend Ed Walker's level. You're paying it like your ATM. And it's funny, some people will charge $1,000, $2,000 on their ATM. They have no problem with that, but they have a problem with paying their credit.
Right.
Let's not talk about that one. Okay. So that's the end of the presentation. Thank you all so much for being on. Now, how do I get this thing to go off now, Lord?
Jerry, can I just add one last point before we sign off?
Yes, please.
And it's bothersome to me and it's bothersome to us as a community. That's why I just feel like I wanted to share this. I want us to be aware of what's happening in the financial arena with our people. And there's a lot of stories, I'm not going to label them as scams, but there's a lot of people out there telling you how to get your credit erased, or credit removed in 15, 10 days, and they're asking for monies to do so, these strategies to open up credit lines. So I'm just asking you guys, do your due diligence, do your homework, make sure you research these agencies and people who are out there putting this information out there, because a lot of it is coming back as fraud, and it's coming back as money being lost to you as a person investing or buying into what they're trying to sell. So please do your homework before you make any decisions to do any kind of, take on any of those kind of services.
Okay, well said. Wendy, you got something?
Yes, Annie Burton have a questions.
Okay, what is that? I can't read it. Okay, Annie, can you go ahead? Yeah, I forgot Q&A. Oh, Lord, time is flying. Okay, what question do you have, Annie? Or anybody else have any questions, for Ed or myself?
Can you hear me?
Yes, now we can hear you.
Yeah, I had two questions real quick. I have a 838 credit score. I can never get to 900. Why?
850 is the maximum you can have. There's no score
I
like
thought
a
it was
900.
900.
No, it's 850.
Oh, 850.
Yeah.
Okay, why I can't get to 850? All I get is 838. I know that's good, but I'm just curious why it doesn't go to 850. He laughed. Huh?
Gary,
What?
if I can answer that, I'll help her with it. A lot of it goes along with not just your great credit, but it's your credit history. So you may have 20 years of great credit, but they're going to say, well, you need more credit history in order to get to that 850. That could be a possibility. And that'll be the combination of them both.
Okay, I'm almost 70 years old and I've had credit cards since I was 18 and I pay them off, and I have over 23 credit cards that I wanted to get rid of, but they told me not to because it could mess up my credit. Is that true?
That's true. Well, it doesn't mess up your credit, but it won't give you to that 838. It's a mathematical scoring. So it's almost an algebra type of thing. I don't know exactly what goes on into it, but it's very hard somebody get to 850. You'll have to meet all the different, algorithms, for you to get there. But at 838, you're probably one of the highest person. You're more 0.01% of those world. So you're doing good, man. You're doing good. Awesome. Anybody has any question?
Yes, I have a question.
Okay.
My question is that, let's say, for example, you want to dispute a charge on a credit. Like, do you just contact the bureau or you go to a lawyer? Like, how can you be able to, like, what was the first step? If you want to dispute something on your credit?
Well, your first place is to call the credit person, the lender or the financial institution that reported your credit. You start with them, and of course, you want to have a legitimate dispute. Is it because you made a payment and they didn't record the payment? Is it because they charge you extra fee that you did not know of? You start that conversation with them. If they report you late, and sometimes if it's the first time they report you late, they will take it off. That's the simple part I'm talking about, having communication with your lender. No lender is really trying to punish people, but they are obligated to report what has happened. So it's just you having a conversation with them. Now, if you had that conversation with them and you still that's not right, then of course you can go online and go to the credit bureau and say you want to dispute this credit. Once you dispute a credit, that trade line is no longer scored against your overall trade line. And so in order for you to move forward, there has to be a resolve in order for that trade line to be part of your overall scoring. Anybody else?
I do. I'd like to know, I have on my credit history, it says my history of payments are excellent, but my credit score fluctuates. I'd like to know why.
Okay, so we talk about the payment. That's number one thing. If just like I was showing a slide earlier on, if you're making your payment, you're gonna stay in the 640 to 680. Now, if you're maintaining your balances, the lower you maintain your balance to your credit score, to your credit limit, the better your score is going to be. If you can maintain under 30% of your balances, you're going to be in the high 6 to low 7s. If you can maintain 10%, you're going to be in the mid 7s to high 7s. And if you can pay it off from time to time, that's what dangles you into the 800 level. All right. Any more questions?
Gary,
Thank you. Thank you.
Gary, if I can chime in on that, I noticed too that my score, and I'm sure most people's scores, will fluctuate or vary from reporting agency to reporting agency. Meaning TransUnion may have a credit score, you may have an 810 there, and you'll go look at Experian and it'll be 780. I haven't figured out why the big differences. I know they use different algorithms or things to measure credit scores, but sometimes those differences can have a mental impact on you, because you're like, hey, I'm 780 here and I'm 820 here. Why is that? Do you have any thoughts on that or comments?
Well, again, it's the algorithm. Everybody's guideline is different. So all the three bureaus, their guidelines are different. Some report student loans. I think TransUnion or so do not report student loan. So it just depends. So there's a factor for everything, right? But it's all mathematical. You know, I don't think we can all get into it. It's kind of like, you know, the scheduling of the NFL, you know, or the rating of Vegas. It's all about whatever mathematical shows them. That's what they rate it to be, you know. So we just got to play along with it and make sure we're winning and playing along with it, right? That's all we got to do. Thank you.